Welcome to Subspace Transmissions. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, big news for the Subspace Transmissions podcast. We are going to be in Las Vegas for the big Star Trek convention, the biggest Star Trek convention in the entire world, presenting a panel all about the evolution of storytelling on Star Trek.
Correct.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for a number of years. You actually got me into it a couple years ago. This is going to be my 5th year. And we've really seen like some spikes in popularity throughout the Star Trek fandom, as well as like convention attendance. Can't tell you how many people are piling in for the 50th. And you've got like a big question about it's hanging over the future of these kinds of conventions.
Yeah, I mean, since I started going to Star Trek cons in 2010, I've seen a dwindling of the number of Star Trek conventions held in North America in particular. And I do have the question of, can this influx of new Star Trek content, like Discovery and whatever other series Kurtzman might be masterminding, can they save the convention scene for Star Trek?
Well, let's just talk about our own personal plans for the convention. As soon as photo opportunities went up for one Rainn Wilson, who played Harry Mudd, as well as one Lorca, who is obviously played by one Jason Isaacs, we grabbed those immediately. We're going to get our photos taken with those two actors. And it's kind of surprising because, look, I've gotten my photos with pretty much every single actor from all the other series that I want. So I think...
Kyle,
it's true. I literally do.
He ain't lying.
And I think what we really need to see is get some new blood in there, like revive, that excitement that a lot of fans have when they go to these Star Trek conventions. And you're going to do it with, not necessarily the new animated show that's going to come out that Alex Kurtzman's going to be producing.
Right.
Maybe people are really into the voices. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think like live action stuff. And look, I don't know if this Captain Picard spinoff happens. I think you can have a lot more people piling in to, meet his new helmsman or his new science officer.
But it does raise an interesting question in the sense that, like, the Kelvinverse was viewed as a way to really relaunch Star Trek and grab a whole new generation of fans. And the Kelvinverse movies aren't the most popular when you talk to con attendees, and it doesn't feel like they boosted attendance in a big way, at least in a way that lasted.
But I think, though, it comes down to not the fact that it's in the Kelvinverse.
Sure.
I think it just comes down to the fact that these are Star Trek movies, which I think it's really rare for like a Star Trek film to come out and just grip even hardcore audiences.
Except for Nemesis.
Well, you say that, but I think you've got like pretty much two that all fans will say and be in agreement in, and that's Khan as well as First Contact.
Sure. Star Trek 4 gets a lot of love.
Of course. But I wouldn't blame necessarily the Kelvinverse for this situation. Yeah. I think really Star Trek does best when it's on TV. Alex Kurtzman's going to be producing more content than I think we've ever seen in like 20, 25 years. I think there's a lot of potential to really boost these fan community that we have here. And look, you and I, we're no spring chickens here, but we are kind of on the younger side of things when it goes to these conventions.
Sure.
We're both in our 30s. It'd be great to have, parents bringing like young kids in, like getting these new people into these cons going forward.
Yeah, and I do wonder, though, like, has... conventions, like the big conventions, like whether it's like the San Diego Comic-Cons or the New York ones, or like the ones held regional around the areas where like fan expos and things like that, where you're getting more of an amalgamation of geek properties, have they killed the idea of the Star Trek con? Whereas like, you do have things like Creation is a big, they put on tons of Star Trek cons, or at least they used to, but they also oversee things like Once Upon a Time and Vampire Diaries and stuff like that, like conventions, supernatural cons that get big attendances. So I think there is room for a single property convention scene, but do you think Star Trek has been consumed by these bigger ones where they still, I know they're getting ready to have the Discovery cast at San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, let me pitch this to you as well, because think about the fact, like, do Star Wars fans get multiple conventions throughout any given year? It's generally just one.
Celebration, yeah.
That's a huge property, even bigger than Star Trek.
Yeah.
So I think there's something unique about Star Trek, and if it's been on the wane to a certain degree, look, it has like hills and valleys. It's always been like that. I think that there's a potential for it to support the single property. It's disappointing that we would like to go to these multi-property cons, but they don't necessarily have a big Star Trek presence.
Right.
I think that if you get more content out there, more like topical stories that are being told, it's going to grip the fans even more. And I think we could have like a real cool revival of the Star Trek scene in the near future. I don't think it's going to happen within the next year.
Right.
But I think look down the road and you're going to have so much more excitement going forward.
Because I do think there's a lot of value to the small cons. I know the big ones are like the big splashy ones that everyone, wants to read coverage of and, hey, are they going to unveil footage and things like that. But like, I think the small cons, there's a lot of value in the sense like they really do kind of build the community in a fun way. And you get to interact a lot more with the stars and have, I think, those personal experiences that people look for when they go to conventions that you'll never get at the big ones, really.
Oh, you and I, we have so many stories to tell about just like rubbing elbows with some of the actors that we would never even get to stand within 40 feet of, mostly because of Cam's restraining orders.
Yeah.